Sorry for starting a minute late. I was eating because I realized I needed to eat something before stream. Because going into a stream on an empty stomach is not conducive to being entertaining. Oh, that's the point of the stream, is eating, or you're going to eat at some point during the stream. Okay. Yeah, I am really sorry. I thought I'd be back. I only started a minute late, Silva. I only started like a minute late. Okay. Let people know that I am leaving. It's so bizarre to me. So there's this famous content creator, Matt Colville, who made a post. Hold on, I'll explain in a second. Let me do my retweets to let people know that I am leave. Okay, there we go. Cool. I'll let people know that I am live. Okay. Hi, Nabiru. Hello. I've missed you all. I've missed you. It has been over a week. It has been the better part of 2 weeks since I last talked to you all. Let me change screens. Hey, Superhero 60, good to see you. Did you get all the stuff sorted? It's been 1 week. Yes, Silva. Yes, Silva. Superhero 60, did you get everything fixed with your Discord? Because I remember you said you posted, I think you were the one who posted something about like losing everything and having to redo everything on Discord or something. I think you were the one who posted about that. Yeah. You open up a huge can of worms. Let me guess, you posted something sussy on Tricky's stream. Everything is great. That's great, Superhero 60. That's great. How was everybody's Thanksgiving? Bought the Haruka Karawa key apps, and now I'm learning about making a custom keyboard. Okay. Oh, is making a custom keyboard? Is making a custom keyboard like more complicated than you thought it was going to be, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh no, I can't believe I decided to do this and actually invested money in it. So now, due to the sunk cost fallacy, since you've already sunk money into it, you have to keep doing it, Silva? Okay, I'm glad I nailed that on the head. I'm glad I nailed that on the head. My glasses are dirty. Your Thanksgiving was great? That's great. Silva does not want to get just a keyboard and replace the keys. They want to get the bases. Oh, Silva, are you doing that thing where you go overboard and have to do the best of everything? It's assuming the switches are compatible to begin with. Oh, goodness. There we go. So yeah, I had an interesting Thanksgiving. I told you all before about how like my mom and my aunt kind of like work together to like convince me into going down there. Like they pulled the whole thing where they were like, my mom knew that if she just asked, I would have said no, so she got my aunt to ask. And then my aunt did that thing where she was like, well, you just have to decide whether or not you want to see us or not. And I'm like, oh, great. So now if I say no, I'm saying I don't want to see them. And I'm like, that's just wonderful. That's just a wonderful situation to be in, right? And I ended up deciding to go, and I went down to Florida, and like it was, the thing is with it, I don't know who had the bright idea to make November National Novel Writers Month and to make November the month with the challenge to write 50,000 words in 30 days, especially since it's that is national, which means it's an American holiday. It's an American thing, an American challenge, when we have Thanksgiving in November. So it's just like, who thought this was a good idea? Who thought, like, with Thanksgiving and family and all of that stuff, or maybe that was part of the plan. Maybe part of the plan was to use writing this project for writers to get an excuse to avoid family gatherings. Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't go. I'm doing this challenge. Yes, gotta get the alliteration. Okusen, it is good to see you. How are you doing? My model is doing crazy things right now. Yeah, I know, we haven't seen Okusen here in so long. So I went to Thanksgiving with my family, and there was a whole lot of stuff that happened. And like it was a whole bunch of stuff. Yep, Okusen, my favorite mod. And it was a whole thing where like there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened, because like at first when I had agreed to it and I'd been invited, I thought I was going to a dinner at my aunt's house and that other family relatives would be coming and it would be held there, right? Because I thought she was inviting me to her Thanksgiving dinner, right? And I'm like, okay. And then they're asking me where I want to stay for the time I'm down there. Do I want to stay with my mom or do I want to stay with my aunt? I'm like, well, since the Thanksgiving dinner is going to be at my aunt's place, I'll stay with my aunt. And they're like, oh, actually, it's not going to be at your aunt's place. It's going to be at this other relative's place. And I'm like, okay, I didn't want to see a whole bunch of people. Is this going to be like, is there going to be a whole bunch of people there? And they're like, no, it's, they're saying, my relatives don't like having a whole bunch of people, so it's going to be a nice small thing, a small get together and whatever. And I was like, okay, I can do that. All right, fine. I'm on board with that. And then that's what I was expecting. And then I get there and then I find out that due to some changes, some last second changes, and I'm not a big fan of last second changes. If I get prepared for something, I want it to happen the way I've prepared for it, right? And due to some last second changes, the main, I guess, dinner had been moved to another relative's house and there was going to be a bunch of people there. And so my mom and my aunt had decided that since I said I didn't want to deal with a whole bunch of people and they were inviting me down here special for it, that instead of going to the main dinner, yeah, pretty much, they decided that instead of going to the main dinner, they were going to have a separate Thanksgiving dinner with just us at my aunt's place. And I'm like, okay. That threw me for a loop. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's good that it's being held at my aunt's place. But then, like, and part of the reason I went down there was because I wanted to cook seitan for my family, and I wanted to get that dopamine rush of seeing people try seitan for the first time and being like, whoa, what is this? This is really good. This tastes like meat. You know, all that stuff, all those good feelings, right? That come with cooking for family, right? You get that rush. And I'm like, that's a big part of why I went down there, right? And so I got there, and we were trying to figure out about getting the stuff situated, and I wanted to make sure everything came out right. And like, got situated. I got there on a Tuesday, kind of just like went to bed. Wednesday, I kind of just slept in all day because I'd been so busy with the flight on Tuesday. And then like Wednesday night, I wanted to start making the seitan because seitan tastes better and is always a better consistency if the gluten has a chance to firm up overnight. So I wanted to do the initial cook of the seitan on Wednesday night and then finish it in the gravy on Thursday before the dinner, before Thanksgiving. But what I needed was some poultry seasoning. And it was this hilarious thing, right? Because my family had all these other seasonings, but they didn't have poultry seasoning. And I'm like, and my cousin's like, we can go shopping and pick up whatever. And I'm like, hey, can you pick up some poultry seasoning? Now, I didn't specify what kind because it never occurred to me that there were different types of poultry seasoning. When you think of poultry seasoning, you think of like marjoram, whatchamacallit, thyme, rosemary, all those things that are traditionally put on chickens or poultry or put on Thanksgiving stuffing, right? And my cousin had been like, well, my mom, her mom, my aunt, was at work and worked at Publix, and she would pick up some poultry seasoning for me, and bring it home so that I could start cooking when they got back, right? And I was like, okay. And then when we went shopping, we'd gone to Publix, and there's this thing, Campbell's mushroom gravy is vegan. It's just the Campbell's brand. I don't know what other brands, but I know Campbell's mushroom gravy is vegan. Some other, like the Heinz mushroom gravy, uses beef broth, but the Campbell's one is vegan. So when we went shopping, I went looking because I wanted a mushroom gravy in order to flavor the seitan with. And I wanted to get a bunch of these little cans of mushroom gravy. Now that I tried them out, I tasted them, and I was confident in their flavor. But the Publix we went to didn't even have a spot for it. It had the pork gravy, it had the turkey gravy, it had it had beef gravy, chicken gravy, and turkey gravy. And it had no space for the mushroom gravy. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I told my cousin, I'm like, I'm gonna have to make the mushroom gravy from scratch. I'm gonna have to make the mushroom gravy from scratch. And so we picked up some mushrooms. And so then I did the initial cook of the seitan, but then like I started panicking, second guessing myself. When I did my initial test run, I had done 2 cups Vital Wheat gluten to 1 cup chickpea flour, and that came out all right. I felt like there were some things that needed to be done to fine-tune the taste a little bit. I was ready to, because when I made that, I was almost out of nutritional yeast. So I didn't know how much nutritional yeast to add because it wasn't in the recipe I was using, and I was ad-libbing a lot of stuff. So I did the 2 cups of the Vital Wheat gluten, 1 cup of chickpea flour, and I put in like 1 cup of nutritional yeast, and I'm like just stirring that up with a bunch of seasonings and stuff. And then I looked at the recipe, and the recipe said that it was supposed to be 2 cups Vital Wheat Gluten, half cup chickpea flour. And then I remembered what I'd intended to do was to do 2 cups Vital Wheat Gluten, half cup chickpea flour, half cup nutritional yeast. But at that point, I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Ratio's off. All the stuff's already mixed in. I can't get it out. So, and I hadn't added the fluid yet. So I was like, okay, we're just going to run with it. We're just going to run with it. So I put in a 3rd cup of Vital Wheat Gluten. And that made an even bigger thing. And then I put in the water and the veggie stock. And made the dough ball. And my cousin let me use her like stand mixer and dough hook. But the thing was, the dough ball was so big that the dough hook, that the stand mixer started shaking anytime I turned up the speed to actually get it to knead really well, right? And I started like panicking because I didn't want to break their stand mixer. So then I would keep turning it down, but I had it turned down so low it wasn't actually kneading it really well, and it wasn't developing the gluten. So I let it run for like 10 or 20 minute cycles, and then letting it rest between cycles, and it was developing the gluten a little bit, but it wasn't getting the gluten the way I wanted it to. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I tried turning it up, and it was starting to develop the gluten, but the thing was shaking like a bucking bronco, and I was so scared I was gonna break it. And at some point, like afterwards, I was like, you know, I should have just cut the dough in half and kneaded it in 2 halves, because I cut the dough in half anyway in order to cook it, because I couldn't fit it all in the pan at once. So I had to cut it into half in half anyway. And at that point, I should have just cut it in half before I kneaded it. But so I pulled it out. I did some kneading, where you like pull it, fold, pull, fold, pull, fold, in order to get all the gluten strands, well, most of the gluten strands going the right way and developed and longer and stronger. And once I was confident, cut the seitan dough down the middle, did a fry in order to get a crust, and to slightly cook the outside in order to try to locking in the sides. And it's really funny. One of the loaves came out under, like, I didn't fry it enough. It didn't develop enough of a crust. The other loaf, perfect. Maybe a little bit overcooked, a little bit over fried, but still perfect. And then instead of simmering them in 2 separate things, I tried to like curve them as I fit them and squeeze them in the pot to simmer them both in the same pot. And I was really worried that wasn't going to work, but it worked. I ended up storing them in the fridge in 2 separate containers because they were so big. And I don't know if my aunt's stove just works better, but I was expecting it to take because when I'd done one big loaf in my testing, it had taken about 2 hours on like some of the lowest settings with a gas stove. So I didn't know how it was going to perform on an electric stove. So I was ready for 1.5 hours because it was cut in half and it was an electric stove. I checked it in 1 hour and it was done. And I was like, holy cow, these electric stoves are so powerful. Just let it sit in the fridge overnight, and then the next morning, my cousin made a bunch of these, like, because my cousin went to culinary. So, like, she made a bunch of these vegan dishes. And she'd done the thing where, like, you take a half an onion and you, like, scrub it against the bottom of the pan to clean the pan to get up the grease and stuff after cooking one of her vegetable dishes. And she was getting ready to throw out the onion because she's like, well, I'm done cooking. I don't need the onion for anything. And my aunt was like, that's a half of a pretty big onion. You know, don't want to throw that out. I'm sure we could figure something out. And I'm like, I could totally use that in my mushroom gravy. So I did. I chopped it up into little bits. Cooked it up in my mushroom gravy, made a roux, made the mushrooms, cut up the seitan into strips, and it firmed up real well. And then put all the strips in the gravy and cooked them in the gravy and let them soak in the gravy juices. And I used, as the fluid of the gravy, I used the simmering broth that I'd simmered it in order to really lock in those flavors. People liked it. There was a whole bunch of stuff that happened with like some confusion about the different parties. Some people, like my cousin, had promised to deliver a charcuterie board to this other party, and like when she got there, her grandparents were like, "We really want you to stay. We don't want you to go back to the other dinner," and like they like coerced her into staying at their dinner instead of coming back to eat Thanksgiving dinner with us, which I think is kind of rude. But like, so my cousin didn't get a chance to try it till later. And my cousin was one of the ones I really wanted to get input on for my seitan because she went to culinary. My other cousin was driving somebody and then ended up just staying over there for whatever reason at the other Thanksgiving dinner instead of coming to the one at my aunt's house. So we had a nice little Thanksgiving dinner. And it went okay. And throughout the course of my trip there, I was spending a lot of time writing. I took my laptop, they set me up in a little writing nook in the corner, and I was writing every night. And I'd done some writing while I was waiting for my plane to fly up, and it's really funny. I did some writing. I wrote like when I was flying back, I wrote an entire chapter because I got there early enough that I wrote an entire chapter while I was waiting for my flight. It was really nice. I spent some time with my cousins. One of my cousins, because I wanted to find out what my cousins are up to, like what they're doing. And one of my cousins, like, he's into this drink that's made out of the pepper root called kava that like he claims supposedly has like medicinal properties and is really big in island culture. And he goes to like these kava bars and like will socialize and drink this drink called kava and this other drink from a different pepper root called kratom, and like meet tons of people, and that's his thing. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's for you is what it was for me with like card shops, where I used to travel around to card shops to different places and play games and meet people and network and interact with people. And he's like, yeah, something like that. One of the most jarring things was talking to one of my cousins. It's the oldest one of my aunt's kids, right? And like, he grew up with me. Like we used to play games, we fought, we did whatever, right? And like right now I thought he was living on his own, but he's apparently living with his grandparents. He's working 2 jobs and a side gig. He's into like racing, like cars, and like has like a sports car that he's been making steady payments on for like the last 2 years. And I don't know that I don't think it's the one you met. He lives on East Coast. He's not my cousin that lives in Golden Gate. And like, he also like is kind of a gym rat and goes to the gym in order to help with like his mental health stuff. And like, not only does he go to the gym, he doesn't just work out at the gym. He also does fighting. He also does UFC fighting and is like training to do fighting and learning all this stuff. So by all of these metrics, like, he's in great shape. He has all of this stuff going for him and is building towards a career, and like, he has all these opportunities, and like, by all these metrics, he's doing so well. And then like, when we sat down at the kava bar to talk, he's telling me about these things that are going through his head and these problems he's struggling with. And then I realized that when he was like, as he kept like talking to me about this stuff, it took me a second to catch on, because I'm not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed sometimes. He was asking me for advice. He was asking me to help him work through some of his stuff. And I'm like, like, I am struggling to keep myself put together. Like, I don't feel qualified to give anyone advice. And I told him, I'm like, listen, I don't really feel qualified to give you advice on this kind of stuff. Like, he's talking about relationship stuff, and I'm like, I have terrible history with relationships. And he's like, well, I feel like life has taught you a lot of things. You've been through a lot of stuff, and I feel like you're really qualified and the one I need to talk to get help with this stuff. So I'm like, okay. So I tried giving him the best the best advice I could. I'm not going to go into details because that's his private life. I'm not going to go into details about stuff. But like, he was just like asking me for advice about life and relationships and mental health. And I'm like, I guess I do the best I can. And then my other cousin's like, yeah, no, I'm not dealing with any of that stuff. I'm like, okay. But I'll tell you, I drank some of that kava drink, and like, it starts out okay, but then you get to the bottom, and it gets the bottom of your bowl that they serve it in, or shell or whatever, and it gets like gritty. And like, my cousin's like, some people really like it when you get to the gritty part. That's when you get to the real like effects. You start feeling the effects of it. And by the time I got to the gritty part, my mouth and tongue were already tingly because it's pepper plant, all that stuff, pepper root or whatever. I just did not like. I finished it because I'm not going to be rude and not finish a drink. But like, it was rough going finishing. I did not ask for a second drink. And like, my cousin told me he thought I should have started with the other drink, the kratom, but the bartender had suggested kava, and I was like, if you're at a kava bar, you should try kava. So I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Logic. So I tried the kava. I don't think I'm ever going to drink kava again. Like, the bartender was spouting some stuff about like, so like, the thing is, when you start people with kava, you start them with the strongest kava drink first, and then they don't need as much to feel it. It works paradoxically, and I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense, and I think you're full of like shenanigans. Like, it sounded like some pseudoscience BS. And like, I'm not trying to say that like all of the kava, the kratom, or all of that stuff is pseudoscience. I understand that like we get these medicines from roots, from plants, from minerals. But like, the amount that people attribute to it feels kind of crazy. And I'm not like, while I may openly say that like, that drink was one of the most foul drinks, the most foul and confusing drinks I've ever had. It started out okay to bad and then went bad to terrible. But I'm not going to sit here and say all kava is terrible. Like, it's not for me. Anyway, that's enough about my holiday. Let's start talking about my story, because I finished it. Well, finished the first draft of it. It was quite a ride. And it's funny, I had been trying to like work ahead in case I missed days, and I ended up not missing any days, but I ended up coming up to finish exactly on the 30th. It was hilarious. It was really funny. Let me get this. There we go. All right. Okay. So there will be, in this discussion tonight, there will be spoilers for my novel. I don't know what's going to stay, what's going to not stay. It still has to go through editing. After tonight, I'm going to let this story sit for like about a month or so before I go back and start trying to work on editing. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that I did. Yes, exactly, Nabiru. Whoop, okay. Wait a second, hold on. Why is this zoomed in funny? Hold up. Hold up. Hold on. Zoom. No, that's too small. What did I have it at? My zoom changed and now it's like not syncing properly. All right, that's better. 200%. Okay. I can work with that. There we go. I can work with that. That's fine. Cool. So this is the epilogue. The epilogue ended up only being like 600 pages. Only ended up being like 600 words. But it's fine because my that's like a third to a quarter the length of one of my chapters. Which is fine because you want your epilogue to be shorter than you normally want your epilogue to be shorter than a chapter. And it is. It is shorter than a chapter. So this is the epilogue. I had the whole thing that came together, and a lot of this, some of the stuff that came together, especially the ending and the way this ended, not all of this, but about 50% of the decision making from making how this ended is Okusen's fault. So I'm going to say that right now. So this entire story has been about Mott and his I was wondering I was wondering if you were still there. I thought that'd get a rise out of you. Get off the mic, get back in the mech. We'll do that later. We'll do that later. I'm gonna play some more Zoids Saga DS tonight. I won't believe a word. I will believe this sentence. Yes, Nabiru. Yes. Yes. Okay, so I don't know how many of you are ever going to read the entire novel, so this is spoiler. The main character spends the entire story struggling with this decision that he made 15 years prior, which was when the Republic came and freed the town from the Empire occupation, the main character, Mott, was married to this woman, Elizabeth, that had been his high school sweetheart. And he had grown up because the Empire had been there for 10 years. The Empire moved in when he was 10. So between when he was 10 and 20, they were living under Empire occupation. And he had grown up. He'd gone to school. He'd fallen in love. He got married right out of high school. And he had been married for 2 years when the Republic showed back up to free the town. You can't see it, but I'm making air quotes. And the Republic showed up to do that, and by this point, Mott's wife Elizabeth had been a brilliant genius. I know brilliant genius sounds redundant, but she was just that smart. She was good at her job. She was good at research. She was good at everything. She was a very talented and capable individual. And she had become a valued researcher for the Empire. She'd become a valued researcher and a valuable resource for the Empire, and they could not let her fall into enemy hands. So when they realized that the Republic, that they couldn't hold the town, and that the Republic was going to take the town back over, they were going to evacuate her and her family, including the main character, and move them to some other Empire-controlled place so the research could continue, so that she could be put to work, or maybe get started on new research, or what have you, right? And the main character, in the beginning, he makes this choice that wasn't explicitly wrong. I wanted to make sure I expressed this idea that, like, the main character followed a good train of logic. It's just that the circumstances that surrounded it made that logic fall apart, right? So the main character is struggling with this whole thing about, he met Elizabeth in high school. They dated through most of their high school lives, and then they got married fresh out of high school, and they'd been married for 2 years whenever the Republic came back. He had known Elizabeth for a grand total of 6 years. That's not how long he dated her, that's how long he knew her, right? This town, his family had been in for generations. Before the Empire and the Republic claimed this town and took turns claiming this town, his family had been here. He'd been a native of this town. He had roots here. He knew people here. He'd just been promised a promotion. It's actually a running gag that, like, he got promised a promotion right before all that happened, and then 15 years later, he still hasn't gotten the promotion. It's kind of like this kind of joke that, like, that's one of the reasons where he's like, I can't leave. I just got promised a promotion. And so he tells his wife, he's like, I can't go with you. I can't leave with you. I can't leave this town. This is home. And so she cries, she tries to convince him, but he just doesn't listen. And she gives him back the ring, and she just says goodbye and then leaves. And then he tries to make it worth it. He tries to build friendships, to set roots down, to interact with people, but there's still this feeling of regret deep inside of him that he regrets the decision he made, right? He regrets making that decision and doing that. So, because he has that regret, it drives a big part of what's going on. And then he finds out that this town that he sacrificed everything for, as soon as something goes wrong in his life, the town doesn't have his back. The town doesn't look out for him. As soon as there's any accusations made against him, everybody instantly believes the worst of him. And he finds out that this town is a piece of crud little town with a bunch of people who only care about their own self-interests. And since they only care about their own self-interests, they only care about him as long as he's benefiting them. The only people in the town who actually help him out are out-of-towners that are running a posh vegan bistro. They're the only ones that actually care enough to help him. And he goes on this quest, and then he interacts with his ex-wife, and he finds out that like this wild Zoid that he finds was part of his ex-wife's research, right? He names it Scorpo. And he names it Scorpo, and because it's a giant scorpion Zoid. That's the picture. The image that I have on my model's shoulder is a mock-up of what I think Scorpo looks like, except Scorpo is 10 feet tall, 30 feet long, head to tail, end to end, and weighs 25 tons. So Scorpo's chonky. And originally, like after all of this stuff of coming to terms with his decision, making peace with it, reconnecting with his ex-wife, because one of the early decisions I made was I wanted the ex-wife to have moved on, kind of, to have not been like sitting there pining after him in these 15 years. So I made that decision very early on that I wanted the ex-wife to be married with 2 kids. We never get introduced to the kids. They're not important. Like, well, it's not that they're not important. They're just not important to the story. So find out Elizabeth married this man Honor, which I know I went for some really weird names, but you know, bear with me. I like weird names. There's not really a naming convention. I just ran with what came to my head. And originally, right, when I'd originally outlined all of this, my original plan was, after everything, main character delivers Scorpo, Scorpo gets taken out to harvest the cores, and that's the big plot twist that happens halfway through the story, is that the main character finds out that in order to harvest, that he finds out that wild Zoids reproduce by budding, where they grow additional cores inside of themselves. And in order to harvest the cores to accelerate the growth of the next generation, they're going to kill Scorpo. So this wild Zoid that's become like a pet or a child to him that he's developed this connection with, it's kind of like a man and his dog traveling through the wilderness. He finds out that he's... Oh. What are you going to say, Okusen, before Orion says anything further about my influence and what is to come? Are you sure? I hope I'm not keeping you from work, Okusen, or from resting before work. Oh, what's the important thing to remember, Nabiru? So Ashire Sorio Padoru Padoru. Yes. So well, the main character kind of dies. You go most of the last you go like a good bit of the last chapter not knowing if the main character is alive or dead. And that was something I wanted to preserve where like you go through that, figuring all of that out to like towards the end of the last chapter. The entire perspective shifts. So my original plan was, after everything, to have the main character make peace with just being his ex-wife's friend, and trying to show this kind of like that there's possibility for like platonic interactions, right? And this healthy platonic relationship about like, listen, we've been through a lot, but I made my mistakes. You moved on. I'm going to respect that you moved on, and not try to insert myself any further in your life besides just being your friend if you'll have me be your friend. That was originally how I wanted to end it, right? And then I had this idea, and Okusen was like, ooh, that could work. And then Okusen came up with ideas about how it could work. Which is why I say part of how this ended was Okusen's fault. At least part of this. I'd say at least 25 to 70%. No, not 70, probably 25 to 40%. You know, I say it with all the love, Okusen. But I just have to remember to put Okusen in the yeah, more like 25 to 40. So I had this idea because I was like, at first I was like, I wanted to show healthy platonic relationships and moving on, and that the main character doesn't have to get the girl, and that it's okay to have this like healthy relationship, right? This healthy friendship of moving on. But then Okusen had the idea about, what if Elizabeth's husband, Honor, is like flirty and into the idea of them being a throuple, of them forming a polycule. So I was like, okay, I have to change around things. So I have to change around all of the interactions the main character had with the ex-wife in order to come up with reasons and lead into explanations as to why the main character would be interacting with the husband, in order to let them build up some rapport, some interaction, and then lead into this moment, right, where main character is like, he's grinning through the pain, right? He really wants more than just to be friends, but he acknowledges that he made his mistake and he's living with his regrets. The name of the story is Metal Regrets, because he's living with his regret, right? And he's like, I made my decision, I have to live with it. And like, his ex-wife is like, I still have these unresolved feelings for you that I haven't dealt with after all these years. And now you're back in my life. But I also still care about, but like my, my husband cares about me, cares about the kids. And what am I going to do? Because I have all of this. I know you have feelings. Don't act like you don't. What are we going to do? And then, where she says, I don't know if I can do that. My husband's a good man. He cares for me and our children, but I still have these feelings for you. And I know you still have feelings for me, but don't do that smile through the pain. BS with me, I don't know what to do. Which this probably needs to get rewritten, because I want her to also express that she still has feelings for her husband. Because this makes it sound like her husband has feelings for her, but she doesn't have feelings for him. And that needs to be rewritten. But yeah, so that's where that goes, right? And then her husband walks in, and she's like, they were holding hands. Elizabeth and Mott were holding hands, and they both get startled at the sound of his voice, but they don't let go of their hands, and they're not sure what to say. They're not sure what to do. And then he walks up and he grasps their hands, where their hands are joined with both of his hands. And when they look at him and they're just like all confused, he gets the official last line of the story where he says, "You know, it really doesn't have to be this hard." So like, that's hinting that it ends in a polycule. I gotta think about how I wanna redo this line, because this line bugs me. I have redone this line twice, and it still bugs me. I've redone it twice. It'd be censored hand holding, exactly, Nabiru. Actually, I'm gonna edit it. I know I said things were done, but like I'm gonna do a quick edit because I had an idea. I had an idea for a quick thing that I could put in here. Hold on. There we go. Just changed a couple words where she says, "I love my husband and he is a good man. He cares for me and our children, but I still have these feelings for you. And I know you." Okay, yeah, that works better. I like that better. It is, so that way she's at least saying that she still loves her husband, so it doesn't sound like she's out of love with her husband. And so this ends with this like implied polycule, right? The barest amount of romance. There is some little romantic scenes. Yeah. And there's like some like romantic interchanges across phone calls, and like where Honor is being a little bit flirty with Mott, and Mott has no idea what's happening, and then Mott starts feeling things that he doesn't understand when he's talking to Honor. And then this kind of gets resolved in the epilogue. Where we have this. Honor taught Mott and Elizabeth that a healthy relationship could be more than just one man and one woman. The three of them built a life for themselves and raised their children, happily working to make the world a better place every day. So they lived happily ever after. They lived happily ever after as a throuple. And that's all. Like, I don't delve into like anything. Oh, whoops. Hold on. Testing. Okay, good. I accidentally pulled the cord for my my headphones, and I had to check and make sure they were still plugged in. So yeah, that the entire that chunk of that resolution and that stuff I added was encouraged. I'll say, maybe not, I will say it was encouraged by Okusen. It was encouraged by Okusen and served as a direction, because I was like, then I could show a healthy non-standard romance. So I was like, I could do this thing. And like, there's a lot of other stuff here in the epilogue. I take the epilogue at a really breakneck pace, covering a lot of data, because I want to wrap up the story. And whereas the last chapter is the immediate results of the climax, right? It's the immediate results of the climax. The epilogue is like what happens later, the longer term results. And then I end with this kind of wrap up piece where it says, will Planet Z know a lasting peace, or will conflict once more mar the surface? For now, the world celebrates peace and an actual path to healing the environment. But as for tomorrow, who knows? You never know what the future holds. And then we have this passage where we catch up with Jeffrey. Now, I originally was going to have Jeffrey. That is the childhood friend who who the main character doesn't remember, and has thrown herself into tormenting the main character, and has thrown herself into making his life a living hell as she tries to break him mentally and physically in order to crush him and destroy him. But then she has this epiphany where she realizes that's not her. She lost herself in all of that because she had all these unresolved emotions about being forgotten, about everything, and she had just been throwing herself into her work. But Okusen was the one who suggested that maybe have her escape off, going on her own adventures, living her own life. Now free of the emotional hang-ups that had driven her before. So that's what I kind of gave her here. I may have had her acting a little bit too evil, so this might feel a little bit jarring. But like, she never spared a thought of Mott or Harnsey Town again. And she moved on, and now after she finishes healing herself, she is planning to travel the surface of Planet Z as a mercenary. And she's confident that the conflict won't stop, because that's her ideal, that she believes that life can't exist without conflict, and that there's going to keep being conflict, and that peace or no peace, there's going to keep being fights, and that her skills will always be in demand. She's not expressly wrong. And I think having that thing where, like, this antagonist isn't expressly wrong adds some depth to the story, but I had to, like, walk this fine line because I didn't want to invalidate everything the main character was fighting for. I didn't want to invalidate everything the main character was fighting for. I didn't want to just make it seem like the bad guys were right the whole time. But in the immediate situation, there's peace, there's end to the war, there's all that stuff, right? So that is Metal Regrets, a backdoor throuple romance novel. Well, I shouldn't say backdoor, but... And it's really funny. So, growing up... How'd I put this without sharing too much information? when I was young, far too young, when I was far too young for this, I started reading romance novels, like my mom's romance novels, because she had a whole collection of them, and I think it was because she was unhappy. And these were explicit romance novels. And they very much warped my sense of relationships, my sense of self and identity. They caused massive amounts of harm to my self-image and just a lot of my understanding of like how the world works. Like so much of my existence became centered on this idea of having a relationship. That became the end all be all goal for me, was having a relationship, but I wasn't working to be a person that people would want to be in a relationship with, and I was trying to force relationships wherever I could find them. If there was ever the inkling of a chance of a relationship, I was trying to force it into being a relationship instead of just being friends, instead of just interacting, instead of just growing up and developing healthy and normal social interactions. And when I was younger, I dreamed of being a romance novelist. Like, I thought they were the best things in the world. Now, I'm not saying all romance novels are bad. I'm saying if you read an unhealthy quantity of romance novels at far too young an age, that you do not understand that difference between the books and reality, it can have a damaging effect. And like, and yeah, it was unhealthy, and like, yeah, I guess that got kind of heavy, but like, I dreamed of being a romance novelist. I used to check out these books from the library about how to be a romance novelist. They always talked about how, like, if you want to be a romance novelist, you have to crank out like multiple books a year, because the idea of romance novels is that they're short and they're action packed and they're very straightforward. You go from point A to point B, and that people can go through a romance novel, like multiple romance novels a month. So if you want to keep up with the demand for romance novels, you have to be cranking out. And I don't write that fast, even on my best days, even with this month of cranking out a first draft. Like, that is not the speed and pace that I could maintain. But it's really funny that like I used to be so obsessed with it, but I never actually really wrote anything about a romance novel. And I also want to clarify that like I also had, when I was in this phase of my life where I was obsessed with romance novels, I had like it was not a time of my life I was proud of. I didn't like do anything like horrible, right? I didn't like do anything horrible or bad to anybody, but like, I didn't develop the kind of like healthy friendships and interactions that I really needed to be developing, at least not on my end. I didn't feel that stuff, because every interaction I was always judging against what I'd read in these books. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked there. But since I got back into writing last year, at first I wasn't touching romance at all. It was such a sore subject. It wasn't quite a trigger for me, but it definitely was like a traumatic thing for me, that like I wasn't touching romance at all. I wasn't hinting at it. I wasn't touching it. I wasn't interacting with romance whatsoever. And this story is my first attempt at writing any kind of romance, and it is very brief. It is very barely in there. It is very much dipping my toes into the it was very much dipping my toes into the shallow end of the pool. And like and I decided to go for an ambitious thing, and with Okusen's encouragement, I decided to end it with a polycule. So I guess it's just like, for me, it was kind of like moving through some trauma stuff. But it's baby steps. It's baby steps. Anyway. Sorry, I kind of started oversharing again and it got into TMI. I hope nobody holds that against me. But yeah, so this is, and it's really funny because like the most advanced Zoid that actually gets shown on screen here in this story. Yes. Thank you, Nabiru. And thank you, Okusen. Executive Polycule Producer. EPP. The most advanced Zoid that actually gets shown like on screen in this story is the Lightning Sykes, which is a high-speed Zoid, except it's a prototype Lightning Sykes, so it doesn't even have all of its weapons. It's just really fast and it runs and shoots stuff. And all it really does on screen is run back and forth, strafing, like running back and forth through the battlefield, shooting enemies on each pass. That's all it does in the fight. Because I did not do what the anime did and make it run faster than the speed of sound to give it sonic booms, because I was not doing that. But the other one that gets shown a whole bunch is the Rev Raptor, which it's funny because the Rev Raptor in the anime was this grunt this grunt Zoid that got taken out so quickly. It was a mass-produced Zoid in both Chaotic Century and New Century Zero. It was a mass-produced Zoid that got taken out very quickly. I think only like one time in anime was it ever shown being a threat. But in here, it's this actual like terrifying mobile suit. Not mobile suit. I keep going Gundam. It's this terrifying Zoid. Because the main character is piloting a Godos. Like a mass-produced, old school, like Gen 2 Zoid. So like the main character is piloting. Yes, it's been updated. Yeah, it's been upgraded. And towards the end, it gets a full-on charged particle cannon, which is hilarious. It's just firing massive beams and just being an engine of destruction. But like, even again, I don't know, Nabaru. Now you're asking the real questions. The Zoid stood on two legs with a gun and sword in its hand. Like, you could... Because, like, some Zoids have robotic arms that carry swords. Like Blade Liger or Liger Zero Schneider or Liger Zero X. Will have robotic arms that have blades on them. Or what was that? The one in the anime that Silva and I just watched. The one that had the chainsaws on robotic arms. We do see animalistic type mobile suits. We see in the Baku. But I think the Baku gets more labeled as a mobile armor because it's not humanoid. I thought that one was a ground mobile armor. Yes, G Gundam was a trip of a show. G Gundam was an absolute trip of a show. All right, so well, now that we've talked a bit about my story, how it ended, and the finale, all the writing I did, had a whole final battle that I wrote, which was a lot. And I was really proud of this thing in the climax chapter. Where like main character wants to know this burning question that he's been asking. Why didn't Jeffria kill him when she could? Because he found out that she got herself free 2 of the times he had her restrained, at least 2 times. But she never killed him. And then when he was originally set to free her, she told him that as soon as he let her go, she would kill him. And she seemed to mean that so much, so he was so confused. And this has bugged him since like multiple chapters ago. Why she didn't kill him. So he finally asks, after he's destroyed her Zoid, you know, it's been cored, the head's been like knocked to the side, cockpit popped open, and he finally asks, why didn't you kill me when you had the chance? And and she starts talking. And she tells him her backstory. But I wanted to build some tension there. So we switch viewpoint a little bit. Where we switch over to the viewpoint of Jeffria. And you see her reaching underneath her pilot chair, pulling out this big case. And then as she's talking, we keep cutting back to her and seeing her slowly and carefully assembling this massive anti-Zoid rifle. Then lining it up, taking a shot, taking aim. And then she's talking and telling him this story about herself. You don't know whether she's lying or telling the truth. But what you do know is her story is keeping Mott busy. He's having this revelation that maybe there's something to what she said. Maybe that town that he gave up everything for wasn't really as good of a town as he thought it was, right? And he's having this revelation, but he's so focused he doesn't see the barrel of the gun being pointed right at him from the ground. And he keeps asking, like, is it because we had this history that you didn't kill me? She's like, I'm getting there. And and so she's telling him all this stuff, and it keeps cutting back to her, like loading a massive round into the chamber. And he finally admits that he finally apologizes for whatever he contributed to her hurt. And it's like he feels a weight lifted off his shoulders right before he gets his side blown off. And what I wanted to do, I had this idea. I can't remember what filmmaker talked about it, but there was this filmmaker that talked about like building tension and how if there's like a bomb set to go off, right? Instead of just having the bomb go off and surprise the main characters and be surprising and shocking, you build tension if when the main character walks in the room, the camera cuts over and shows the bomb. And you keep cutting back and forth between the main character and the bomb. And the tension builds as the viewer doesn't know if the main character is going to notice the bomb in time to stop it from going off. And instead of being a surprise, it builds tension and makes it really terrifying, right? And that's what I wanted to build here, where like the reader is reading this and like, not gonna notice that she's loading a gun. Is not gonna notice this gun pointing out from the side of the cockpit. Is he going to notice? And then he doesn't, and then he gets shot. And this also pays off something that happened earlier, where they were going to put an armored cockpit on Godo, and Mott's like, nope, I can't do it. It's gonna affect my field of vision. I need to have a regular cockpit. And they're like, all right, well, if you get shot, that's on you. And then he does get shot. Yes. He's so busy talking that he doesn't notice. He's so busy talking that he doesn't notice what's happening. And he doesn't notice it. I could make it a little more obvious to like make it like where he could have noticed it, but he didn't. But every time you see him start questioning why she's still talking, he starts to question, she comes up with an answer and just keeps going. And then we get to the ending part where main character's been shot. He's bleeding. He knows he's not going to die immediately, but he needs medical attention or he will bleed out, right? That is what he knows. And he has to decide, do I step back and get medical attention and get treated and get saved? Or do I step forward and deliver Scorpo and save the world? And he has a flashback to that moment where he's staring at Elizabeth and she's begging him to come with her. And he realizes, I stepped back to save myself before. Will I do it again? Was it worth it? And he gets a chance to redo that decision of, do I step back or do I step forward? And he decides to step forward. And he runs and he starts phasing in and out due to blood loss. And he manages by force of, and it also pays off another thing that was happened before, where you learn that Godo will keep going even if Mott's unconscious. That's a thing that got paid off before. Well, that's the thing that got hinted at before in a previous chapter, where Mott fell asleep at the wheel and Godo led them to a cave because Godo understood the assignment. So we pay that off again. We pay that off where now Mott is, I didn't make a direct reference to it, but I'm hoping that the reader will see that it's referencing that moment where now most of this run is Godo doing the running. So yeah. But yeah, after all that, word count. 56,000 words, including the epilogue. That, I think, in less than 30 days, because I started on like the 3rd or the 4th. I started really late. Like the first day I didn't know. It took me like 2 days to make an outline, and then I got started. Like it was tight. Holy cow. But yeah, I'm gonna let this story sit for a little while. Do some editing, maybe get some test readers. It's hard to find a test reader for the whole thing at once, because I'm not like finding a test reader for a single chapter. I'm finding a test reader for like the entire 56K words, right? And that's a lot. So I'm gonna have to find test readers and do some editing myself. I'm planning to release it on AO3, an archive of our own, because I got an archive of our own account. I just have to figure out how to post on there. Might post it a couple other places, I don't know. I have no illusions about like selling it because it's a copyrighted work. Like, it's based on a copyrighted IP. Theoretically, I know that like if this story was something that I was determined to sell, I could theoretically, because of how much of it is slice of life and how little of it relies on actual Zoids knowledge, I could come up with my own entire universe just for this book. And come up with new names for everything. And divorce everything from the Zoids IP. I could theoretically do that, but I'm going to tell you right now, that is a lot of work, and I still haven't completed editing on last year's NaNoWriMo project. So like, yeah. I tried to do a little bit of editing as I went, which I know you're not supposed to do in NaNoWriMo, but I figure every little bit of editing I do as I'm writing is less things I have to hunt down and fix later. So like if I had a little bit of time at the end of my writing sessions, I would go back and change and edit and tweak things. I think I made a pretty good pace. All right, so that's enough stuff talking about the metal regrets. Give me a second. Let me back up the changes I just made, because I don't want to lose that change I just made, because I think that's a very important change. Let me jump over to here real quick while I get everything set up. Version. So what I've been doing is I write it in OpenOffice, right? Because I like the OpenOffice tool set. And then I move it to, I back it up to my Google Drive. That's what I've been doing with it. Backing it up to my Google Drive, and then going with it from there. And that's been working well so far. I've put so much work into this thing that I don't want to lose it. It's funny, I told my mom I was doing a writing challenge, and my mom thought it was like a journaling thing. And she's like, "You do your journaling thing?" And I'm like, "No." I didn't tell I ended up, since there were so few people at the dinner, I was able to avoid talking about what I'm writing about. I just said I'm doing a writing challenge, and no one really asked me for a whole lot of specifics about it, which I was grateful for. Anyway, it is going on 10 o'clock, so let's get to the gaming half of tonight's stream. All right. Okay. Okay. There we go. So, let me take a look here. I got... Oh, whoops. Would help if I selected the thing. There we go. Where am I going? Where am I going? Survey the land. So I probably have to go find stuff now. Gale Ruins. Gale Ruins, okay. That's not the button I wanted. Everyone's talking about going to these ruins, so they're probably where I need to go. Okay. I'm prepared. Let's go. All right, so I have to go to the northeast up there. Okay. What's down here? Desperation. What's that one do? Nice. Your transportation Zoid deals damage to all Zoids disabled in battle arena. Cool. I might use that more. What's the keyboard look like, Silva? Did you just send me a DM on Discord? You linked it to me on Discord? Okay. Ooh, item box. Okay, what have we got? Ooh, 8 missile. Ooh, wow, that's huge. That's a lot of EP use, though. Ooh, what is this? Ooh, that's cool. I could get a healing thing. How much does that weigh? 20 weight. Oh, that costs 50K? Oh, I'm getting one. That's expensive. I gotta figure out who I want to put that on. I kind of want that triple cannon. Anti-air 2 laser, 3 EPUs, 1 to 3 pierce. Weight 50, 100 for the 3 cannon. Heavy ray gun. That definitely is going to come in handy for him. Cool. That's fine for him. It weighs 20. Uses 4 EP. Okay, there we go. High caliber gun is 100. Accuracy 70. Range 1 to 2. 100. 2 to 3. EP3. I have 5 hyper machine guns. I need to sell some of those hyper machine guns. I'll probably sell 4 of them. Okay, 3 cannon. This is slightly higher EP. Higher accuracy, not worth. This pierce weapon, though. This pierce weapon might be where it's at. 1 to 3 anti-air. One to 3, 2 adjacent. Oh yeah, the other one is like I have to be up front in order to use it. So two high caliber cannon weighs 20. Does 100, 1 EP use, 1 to 2 range. Heavy railgun. 100, 3. Weight 50. This isn't better. I mean, it can be used at shorter ranges, yes. $166. Okay. Finally have a healing item. Ooh, what have we got here? Old man sleeping. Okay. All right, so I haven't unlocked yet, so I have to come back for that. Okay. So I'll come back here later. I want to see what's down there in the bottom right, though. That was not what I wanted to do. Oh, geez. There's going to be more hammer rocks. Yep. Let me try Desperation out. Oh, wait. That hits allies, too? Oh. Oh. Oh, that is... I thought that was just strictly better. That is not just strictly better. First, I'm going to go heal because I didn't even realize what that did. That was not the button I wanted. That was bad. Alright, so now I want to go down to the bottom right and see where that takes me. Before I head up top. Because you got to explore all the items on the map before you go to the new map. New area. You gotta. Alright, which thing am I fighting? Hammer rocks and Curious. Okay. Okay. I'm glad to finally have decent weapons, though. I'm sure it'll be more dangerous once I actually get into, okay. Get straight out of one fight, get jumped by another group. Oh no, we gotta take out the Hellcats. Gotta take out the Hellcats before they become invisible and stuff gets annoying. Oh no. Glad I got all that armor on. Of course that one misses. What do I want to disable? Great. Okay. Should have done junk parts in order to get another heavy machine gun. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, another red horn battle? Okay, that's fine. Okay. Want to deal with the Hellcats before they get annoying. Okay. Gotta get a better Saberfang for him, though. Of course it went invisible. That was worth a shot. I like the red horn because it's a powerful... Ooh, that's a lot of damage. $29. There we go. Ooh, okay. Hmm. That was just barely enough to take it out. Okay. Good. Nice dodge. Okay, good. we are gonna do. I already have the data, so I'll go. I'll go junk parts in case any of them have any junk parts. Yeah, it was funny on the Zoids Discord server. There were a lot of people talking about how Earth plus a Saber Fang is just such a powerful early game combo. Ooh, got a laser sensor. More Mulgas. Please don't be with... Yep, they're with Hellcats. Okay. We are going to do Agitator so they can't go invisible. Hyper machine gun going off. Boop, 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 boop. Actually being relevant to combat. One damage. All the armor I have stacked on there. Okay, then we're gonna go for junk parts. All right, cool. Another hyper machine gun. Oh wow, I should probably heal up some of my characters. They've taken... The Reynos and the Red Horn have taken some decent damage. I'll do a friendship next battle. I just felt cold breeze. That's kind of creepy. That goes down. Let's see what we're fighting here. Iguans, Saberfang Old, Cannery Mulgas, Rev Raptors. All that for just doing one. Oh, of course it's gonna... That actually wasn't bad. We are gonna go for... I think I have all the data. I don't remember if I have the I think I have the Rev Raptor data. So I'm gonna go with Junk parts. Ooh, small thruster. Cool. Evac unit. So those all go down. Ooh, hello. Ooh, Gylos Republic. Oh, this is one of those things where I'm going to have to go down and up, down and up, down and up. Okay. Of course, it misses the cannon remolga. Ooh, crit. Nice. I don't need anything off of them, so I'll probably just do friendship to heal up the little chip damage I've been taking. Okay. Oh my gosh, of course it jumps at me. That thing came around the corner and raced at me. Ba-ba-da-ba-da, agitator. This beam gun is so useful. Okay. Boom, we are rocking and rolling. Okay. Okay, so that goes down further. Oh my gosh, are there two of them in this corner? There are. Okay. Of course, the hammer rock dodges, but the Sicarius doesn't. I wasn't dealing with that. Chomp. Red Horn's proven pretty useful so far. Even with crits, it only did 1 damage. That's funny. Junk parts, what do they got? There we go. Oop. All right. Of course it turns around. Of course it turns around right there. Okay. It's funny because like when I started, I was like struggling, and now I'm at the point where like I'm really powerful. Now we'll do, I have all the data. Laser sensor. Ooh, dark spiner data. Let me take a look at that. Because I have Killer Dome. Ooh, this might be useful. What's it do? Machine gun, 120, not bad. 9. 2 cannon, 150. But it's only short range. Jamming blade is a disable. Electron fang is a disable. Not bad. And with 100 weight weapons, do I have core SP? I have 1 dark spiner core. Oh my gosh. I can make one Dark Spiner. I gotta fight one of them. Might have to fight both of them. I should have put Agitator on. I know better than this. Come on, Hellcats. Just attack. Okay, good. Okay. I'm gonna laugh if this whole time both of them lead to the same place. Of course, I have to fight both of them. Ooh, Killer Dome. I'll see if I can get some Killer Dome parts. Well, actually, let's take out the Iguans first. Okay. Good. Took care of the Hellcats before they became a pain in my butt. Three laser cannon. Ooh, that's a short range weapon. Single target. A lot of damage. 167. That's a lot of damage. So it's got 20. What can I fit on with 20? Because I'm dropping the 39. Ah, the 39 defense up is really good. Yeah, because he gets bonuses for using extra armor. 172. $210, 163, 351, 304, 280 for 2. It's better than the cannons it's already got mounted. Uh, 166. This does more damage, but it's only short range, so it's going to be useless from the back row. Ah, that's a hard call. I could give up the extra armor for the extra damage output. I'm good for now. I'll see if I need it later. Okay. Six Hellcats? All right, well, first we got an agitator. Oh, cool. Great. Oh my gosh, all these roving stray Zoids. Let's see if they got any junk parts. Okay. Oh no, more iguans. Gotta agitator, or else it gets real annoying. Oh, of course that one misses. Okay. Well, that was anticlimactic. Of course it misses. Of course it misses. That one shoulder-mounted beam gun puts in so much work. Oh, great. Now its agility went up. Used its booster. Oh no, not more Hellcats. Not more Hellcats. Oh no. It's almost 11 o'clock. And we haven't even made it to a boss fight yet. Oh my gosh, getting caught without any of the visitors or things, like, I wish Van had stayed with like Van's crew. Oh, of course that one crits. Oh my gosh. Why does it just keep missing? I just can't win. Nope. It's funny because if I hadn't made space for the ion thing, oh, here we go, 49%. Hey, we take those. Then I might have had more enough accuracy to win that fight. CB armor. That's intense. Bullet and 50. That'll be 70 on him. Ooh. No, it's too heavy. It's too heavy. Oh, I can fit both. Cool. Now I have both on here. Okay, cool. I didn't even realize how light the anti-air laser was. That's fine. It's only gonna be able to hit the front row, but that's fine. Oh my gosh, it turned with me. It was chasing me. Ooh. That worked better. That worked much better. Of course it crit. Of course it crit. Yeah. The Reynos' attack was irrelevant at that point. Okay. Oh my gosh, I should have gone lower. But every battle my team gets stronger. Okay. Oh my gosh. It stops just short. They're stopping it just short. Yeah, I should have just done a single attack. Oh my gosh, it's going on 11 o'clock and we're just at the start of another floor. Ooh. I'm going to poke around on this floor a little bit. That thing was locked onto me. All right, after this battle, I'm going to head to the entrance of the floor and I'm going to save and log out there. Well, not log out, but you know what I mean. And we're going to go to the hangout phase. I'm not dealing with flying Zoids. Yes, gamer mentality, exactly. What was that? That was... Oh no, Rev Raptors. How many Rev Raptors are we fighting? 3 Rev Raptors and 3 Saberfang Olds. This is a different one. First, I'm on a friendship because as I fight, they incrementally gain health as they level up slowly. Let's see. See how much damage this does. Not much. Okay. Missile pod. It's funny, the Rev Raptors are like grunt units, but in the like battle story, right? They're like these deadly, capable, powerful units that like learn as they fight because they have the organoid system. They have a limited organoid system. And that like push that have these core boosters that like power them up, but like are still extremely dangerous and put a lot of pressure on the pilot's body. Let me get... Ow. I forget how much HP the Saberfang olds have. Whatever, I'll just gather core stuff on them. Oh, a field leveled up. Cool. Medium expert. That's funny because he's in a... he's in a large. Medium expert. I think that might be useful. Owned speedster. Okay. Medium. Okay, so it is a medium, so he'll be able to use that. Large. Okay. He needs one more fight and he'll level up. That's funny. Okay. It's funny, you could put him in a Gojulus. He's got 2 Tiger. So I could put him in a Saberfang. Ooh, Healing Pro. It's 20% less EP for ranged weapons. 10% bonus, so this healing pro, instead of healing for 100, will heal for 120 if I grab both of those. That could come in handy, especially for the longer boss fights. Okay, let's go to wind down screen. First gaming stream back, and I think overall it was fun. I just realized my mouth hasn't been moving at all, and I need to recalibrate. This whole stream. Testing, hold on. Hello? Okay, turn off lip sync. Turn it back on. Okay, there it is. Yeah, when I adjusted the connection on my headset, it disconnected my headset from my model. So I use the sound of my voice to control the lip sync on my model. Okay. Oh. Okay. That was fun. It was nice. We talked about my story, and then we did a nice little gaming stream. Even if my mouth stopped moving for a while. Let me take a look now that I'm not in the middle of gaming. Let me take a look at this thing Silva sent me. Oh, you sent me a Newegg link. Upgraded keyboard, tri-mode, aluminum mechanical keyboard with no... Oh, wow. That looks like a fancy keyboard. Holy cow. I just looked at the price on that keyboard. Oh, and it's a wireless keyboard? Eee. Eee. Oh, it can be connected. It can be connected through a wired connection. Okay. Vibrant, groovy RGB. Yes, at least you could hear me. That I knew. It's just that my model's mouth wasn't moving for like most of the stream. Oh my gosh. So it wasn't too scuffed, but I mean, some amount of scuff comes with the territory. So I was explaining something earlier, but I never got around to explaining it. There's this famous TTRPG content creator and like designer and just person, Matt Colville, who made a post on Twitter, on X earlier today, that said, most of you won't get this, but like, that when I was trying to describe this thing I'm making in the game, I think he called it the Fury, it was like, we're going for the feeling of being a Nasus when the enemy doesn't know what you do, and you get to the late game and all of the like your Nasus top and nobody knows what you're doing, and then by the time they understand how your Q works, you're unkillable. And I responded. I said I get that reference because my bro used to love playing top lane. It was the island that, you know, that he would dominate, and he loved playing Nasus. He called Nasus Susan because Susan is Nasus backwards. So like the thing with Nasus is he has a thing where if he kills something using his Q, which is like an empowered auto attack, he builds a stack, and the more stacks he builds, the more his pass, like more he gets buffed, and like he gets stronger and stronger as he builds stacks. So then over the course of a game, as every time that comes off cooldown, you just pop a minion with it in order to build stacks. By late game, you've got so many stacks, your stats are so high that you're just unkillable. But if the enemy knows how to stop you, which is control the wave, threaten other parts of the map, force you to team fight so you don't get to farm and you don't get to build your stacks, and all of that stuff, you don't get to build up. But if you get built, you're just powerful. And apparently he said that that's what he's trying to get at with this design, is like, because he quote retweeted me and was like, yeah, the thing, because there's so many things that can stop you. And I was like, yes, exactly. There's so many roadblocks to glory, is how I put it. It's so hard to get, but when it works, oh, it feels so good. You feel like everybody should get a chance to feel that powerful. It's one of the things about League of Legends is that when you are winning, when you are fed, when you are ahead, it is this rush that is almost unlike anything else. You are on fire. And the thing is, you lose so much. You have so many games when that doesn't work, that when it does work, it feels infinitely sweeter than it actually is. It creates this demand where you lose so much that you have this need for like that dopamine rush of getting fed and getting ahead. So you keep playing, chasing that dopamine rush. And that's one of the things that makes League so addicting, and that's how it's designed. And I get that. And if that's what Matt Colville's trying to put in his game, the thing about like not losing till you win, but having a class that just like as like the adventuring day or as the battle wears on, just gets stronger and stronger and stronger, I think that'll be really interesting, because normally most classes in most TTRPGs, especially the fantasy style TTRPGs, start the day at full power and then wear down and become weaker as the day goes. And then by the end of the day, they are out of power, right? And then they need to rest and refill everything again. But that idea of flipping that on its head, where you're weakest in the morning when you first wake up, and by the end of the day, whenever you go to shut down and go to sleep because you don't want to stack exhaustion or whatever, you are at your most powerful. Which would encourage a playstyle where you want to get into conflict, you want to seek out combat multiple times per day in order to gain that power, that rush. You want the battle to go longer. And I think that's an interesting concept, and I'm interested to see what Matt Colville does with it. All right. Aw, someone shared a video of a tiny little chipmunk stretching. It's so adorable. All right. Oh, Yoshi Sudarso made a tweet or X post, whatever. So, yeah. What did everybody else do for the holiday? Let's talk about that. Actually, let me switch the music. Now I actually have a good excuse to switch over to the holiday music. Because we are in the holiday time. Actually, hold on. I got to use the bathroom, so I will be right back, and then we can talk more about holiday stuff and what's going to happen with the holidays coming up, okay? So hang on, I will be right back. Hello, everybody. Hi. I'm back. With like 5 minutes left in stream. We'll probably go a little bit late tonight just to hang out. Just to hang out a little bit. Ah, you got some fun gift wrap jobs? What kind of stuff you working on, Nabiru? Let's see if there's any cool stuff on the Book of Faces. Oh, my friend posted wedding photos. Nice. From her wedding. Cool. A giant dice to put a gift inside. Oh, like those, whatchamacallits? Oh, how many sides? Okay. 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 Let's see if there's any cool stuff. Oh. Someone's put a picture of from the Grinch that says it's some little like elven kid or whatever, one of the Who's or whatever from Whoville says, my Christmas spirit. The next to them is the Grinch staring at them and is like my bank account. I'm like, yep, that's about it. What else have we got? Oh, I was gonna show you something. So, for the D&D movie, they released these popcorn buckets that are massive D20s. So when you talk about making massive dice, that's the first thing I thought of. Let me get a good picture of it. That's it closed. I want a picture. Here's a picture of it open. Okay. Actually, here's a better picture. Here's a better picture of it. So, ba ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da da. When you talked about dice, this was instantly the first thing I thought of. You getting one of these, and like I think they sell those, like some people have like gotten a bunch of them and like sell them on like eBay and stuff, and like some people use them for stuff, and I just imagined you getting one of these and like covering it in like paper mache or something. Making a paper mache dice or something. Gotta make your own? Okay. Alright, alright. Them is the rules. So shortly before I left to go to Florida. Okay, Nabiru. Alright, alright. I see you. Game recognizes game. Even though I have no game. Exactly. But I was gonna say something. I had something. Dice, wrap jobs completely your own. Oh, right before I left. Right before I left for Thanksgiving, I finally finished watching Aura Battler Dunbine. And like, I have been slowly watching my way through Aura Battler Dunbine for like a year now. It's like, I think it's like 49 episodes. Yeah, it's 49 episodes. And it was directed by Tomino. It was directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino, the person who was one of the co-creators of Gundam. Considered one of the fathers of the real robot genre. So, like, it's very much it's a real robot show, but it features magic in a very, like, militaristic, realistic sense. And, like, I don't know what I was expecting. Like, it's a Tomino show, so it's got this gritty realism, and like at the end, right? It didn't look like things were resolving. Like in the end, the last like 5 or 6 episodes, every episode, this huge chunk of people would just die. And they would be trying to do something and they would die before they accomplished it. And they would fail. And then, like, in the end, the two warring sides destroyed each other and were blown to smithereens with only a tiny fairy left. Well, the one fairy who'd been, like, their helper and mascot was the only survivor of the war. From all the people fighting in the war that took up the place in Aura Battler Dunbine, which I guess spoilers for a show that's like older than I am. And as some people say, it ends with everybody getting Tomino'd, because Tomino was known at that time for being very dark in his work and ending with having lots of character death, lots of destruction. Lots of the horrors of war, lots of depression, all that stuff, right? And like, that's there in spades. It got a really good dub though. I watched the dub because it's funny. The show came out in 1983. It was like from 1983 to 1984, but the dub didn't happen till the 2003 DVD re-release. But even so, that's like a 20-year-old dub. Oh, I'm looking at the wiki now. So I watched the quote-unquote sequel, which takes place like 700 years later and deals with some characters that are reincarnations of past characters. But if you hadn't told me these characters were reincarnations of past characters, I would have thought they might be like somehow similar, but not really like connected in any way to the original story. The plot has no connection to the original story. The Aura Battlers look completely different and operate and move completely differently. The entire thing is just a completely off the wall 3 episodes thing that doesn't resolve anything. Yeah. Now I'm looking at the wiki. Apparently there was a spin-off and an alternate story. What's this? Based on volumes 1 and 2 of the 5-novel series. Oh, there's this... That looks really weird and not mecha and not related to anything besides existing in the same world. What's this? The Wings of Reen. Oh, it's a light novel series. Tomino wrote a light novel series. Okay. And a 6... Oh. Oh, an online show. Oh, okay. What have we got here? Okay, that's really weird. Yeah, but so Aura Battler Dunbine was really weird. And like, I don't know what I was expecting. Like, I've seen people talk about it as like one of like this ancient classic, like one of the first isekais, the progenitor of a lot of tropes and ideas that are very prevalent in modern anime, and I like to trace ideas back to their source. So, so some of the sources I've seen have talked about Aura Battler Dunbine as the source of a lot of the tropes, themes, and ideals that we see in modern day anime, especially with isekai and with mecha and with military anime. Well, not really military anime, but I don't really watch a lot of military anime, so I mean, I watch mecha anime, but like that's its own genre. But like, yeah, it's a thing, and it definitely is like, it definitely has a lot of ideas, but that ending, holy cow, that ending, like, it's just so depressing. And then the sequel over, well, like, Aura Battler Dunbine came out in 1983. And, like, it is, so when I say it's old as dirt, it's old as dirt. And I'm also watching my way through, I want to get back to watching my way through Armored Trooper Votoms, because I'm watching that with I was watching that with Okusen, but then we dropped off and haven't really picked it back up. Is Votem's also by... No, it's not by Tomino. It's funny, Armor Trooper Votems came out the same year as Aura Battle or Dunbind, but they're so different. But like, unlike Aura Battle or Dunbind, Votems has spawned off a whole franchise. Aura Battle or Dunbind has like a couple things, but like Votems is like, I'm hoping Votems has a better ending, and I want to get to the end of Votems. I'm very early in Votems. So I gotta start scheduling times. I gotta start scheduling times with Okusen where we can watch Votems together. Maybe I might do that on Wednesdays now that I'm not in the D&D game. I don't know. But yes, Digimon. Digimon is definitely one of the older isekai. All right. But yes, Digimon. Digimon is a treasure. I haven't delved into Digimon as far as I've delved into Zoids. And that's just because of it doesn't appeal to me the same way. Like, I like the Digivices and the digital I like the digital side of digital monsters more than I like the monster side. Well, in whatchamacallit, not Tamers, what is it? Frontier. In Digimon Frontier, they get powers. There's a whole thing about it in Digimon Frontier. That's a whole thing. Ooh, that's an interesting question. Someone asked this question on X. If you made an evil wish on the monkey's paw, do you think it'd turn it good or just make it worse? That... Well, they got partners that had the powers. And technically, the Digidestined served as the power source that enabled the Digivolution. So, like, I don't know. It's weird. Digimon does some weird stuff. Because, like, the Digidestined aren't exactly necessary, but they serve as the power source for the I almost called them the mech. I'm getting all my fictional worlds confused for the Digimon. And like in the Digimon Tamer season, they bio-merged with their Digimon for the Mega Evolutions. All right. That'd be interesting. I don't know what people are on right now. Someone just shared a thing, says when you die and arrive in heaven only to be ordered by the angels to join countless souls in the eternal construction of chains to restrain God. And I'm like, what are you, what fan fiction are you reading? All right, let's see. Oh, someone got a figurine of a dismembered Charizard head. That's kind of gross. I mean, it looks epic, but then, like, it's got, like, the flesh hanging at the bottom. Yeah, monkey's paws are always weird. Yeah, I know the Pokemon manga had some really dark and weird stuff. Pokemon mangas go surprisingly hard. I remember there was this one where, like, people, I can't remember what it was called, but, like, people had the Pokemon in crystals instead of Pokeballs. And then when they activated the crystal, I think they would gain armor based on the power based on the power of the Pokemon caught in the crystal. And then as they fought, the Pokemon in the crystal would gain experience and evolve and level up and all that stuff and learn new moves and all that jazz. And then that would give them new abilities, whatever they were in their armor. Did I make that up? Is that just some fever dream? Does anybody else know what I'm talking about? Burst. Pokemon Rebirth manga. Yeah. I didn't make this up. I did read part of that manga. Is that an ongoing manga? Should I catch up on that? Yeah. So they don't really get armor, they fuse with the Pokemon. Okay. Okay, let me see if this manga is ongoing. It's not been translated to English. Okay. Let me see. Volume 8. When did this get released? Bulbapedia, give me dates. It looks like it ended, with everyone going on a quest to find a place where they can free the Pokemon from the burst hearts. Which seems really weird because if you break a burst heart, the Pokemon comes out. So like, just break the burst heart. Give up your burst powers and free your Pokemon. I don't know. I don't know what they wanted. It's weird. Anyway. That's enough winding down. That's enough of me searching through Twitter and the Book of Faces to find cool stuff to talk about. Thank you all for coming on the stream with me. It has been fun. So for those of you who don't know, I like to end my stream by saying positive things about my viewers, speaking positivity and goodness into their lives. I like to say important things and good things to people because I believe we should speak goodness into each other's lives. So I will say to scroll up. Silva, Nabiru, Superhero 60, Okusen, and anyone else who watched this stream and didn't comment in the chat, and anyone who watches this VOD afterwards, I want to say to all of you that I love all of you. I believe in each and every one of you, and I think that you all are truly wonderful, special, and one-of-a-kind individuals. I believe that you all make this world a better place by living in it, and I'm grateful every day to live in a world with people like you in it. Thank you for coming to my stream. Thank you for giving me your time, your energy, and your attention. Thank you for being a part of this community and making this community better every day. Always remember the Star Hunter motto: shoot for the stars, have wonderful adventures, live your dreams, and always stop to enjoy the memes. One thing I do ask is that you like the stream. It helps the algorithm of pushing it out. It lets me know what people want and the people were here. I mean, I'm still going to kind of keep doing what I want, but like, you know what I mean. If you have any friends, neighbors, uncles, aunts, nephews, sisters, brothers, arch nemesis, best friend, fiancés that you think might enjoy my content, feel free to show them my content or invite them to the next stream. What's today? Today's Friday. Next stream is going to be Monday, 8:30 p.m. EST. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Might do a Legend of Dragoon stream because I haven't done one of those in a couple months and we have to chug through that game. We'll see what happens. Thank you all for coming to tonight's stream. Thank you for being amazing and thank you for being wonderful. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing on YouTube, you can subscribe and ding the notification bell to let you know whenever I go live or when I release any new content. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing outside of YouTube, you can follow me on X or Twitter or join my Discord. Links to both of those are in the description down below. I have to update that link one of these days. I also want you all to know that I never want anyone to think that they are expected or required to donate to be a member of this community. It is not required. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to donate to be welcome or they have to pay to be a member here or to be a part of this community. If I do ever open up memberships to allow people to pay or do Ko-fi or Patreon or any of that stuff, that will be a completely separate thing. But as of right now, I am not doing that. But I never want anyone to feel like they have to pay to be here. With that said, I'm grateful to everyone who has donated and helped me with things and helped make things possible for me in the past. I'm grateful to each and every one of you who has given of your own time and resources in order to help me out with things and make things possible. Each one of you is a truly special and wonderful individual, and I'm grateful for your giving heart. With that said, if you ever are motivated and and just moved to donate, to improve the stream, to improve my life, to help me out with any number of things, feel free to do so as long as you can afford to do so safely. I never want anyone to have to choose between giving me money and covering their own needs. With that said, have yourselves a wonderful night. I will see you all on Monday.